Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, lived a king and queen who longed for a child more than anything. After many years, their wish was granted, and a beautiful baby princess was born. The entire kingdom rejoiced, and a grand christening was planned to celebrate. The king invited all the important people in the realm, including 7 good fairies, to be the baby's godmothers. Each fairy was to bestow a magical gift upon the little princess. The celebration was in full swing, with music and laughter filling the grand hall. 6 of the fairies had already presented their wonderful gifts: beauty, wit, grace, the ability to dance like a dream, sing like a nightingale, and play any instrument perfectly. Just as the 7th and final fairy was about to step forward, the doors flew open with a crash. In walked an 8th, much older fairy, who hadn't been seen in 50 years and was thought to be gone forever. The king, flustered, had forgotten to invite her, as he hadn't known she was still alive. Furious at being slighted, the old fairy, whose name was Maleficent, glared at the baby in her cradle. "Since you didn't see fit to invite me," she cackled, her voice dripping with malice, "I, too, shall give the princess a gift." She raised a bony finger and declared, "When she is 16, she will prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel, and she will die." A collective gasp filled the hall. The king and queen were heartbroken, pleading with the wicked fairy, but she merely laughed and vanished in a puff of smoke. Just when all hope seemed lost, the 7th good fairy, who had wisely held back her gift, stepped forward. "Your Majesties," she said gently, "I cannot completely undo this evil curse, for my power is not as great as Maleficent's. But I can change it." She approached the cradle and spoke softly. "The princess shall not die. Instead, she will fall into a deep sleep that will last for 100 years until she is awakened by true love's kiss." Though relieved their daughter wouldn't die, the king was still terrified. He immediately issued a decree that every single spinning wheel and spindle in the entire kingdom be destroyed. He hoped that by removing the source of the curse he could save his precious daughter, whom they named Aurora. The princess grew up in the castle, becoming more beautiful and charming with each passing day, blessed by the fairies' gifts. She was kind, intelligent, and loved by all who knew her. The king and queen watched her flourish, but the dark shadow of Maleficent's curse always lingered in the back of their minds. Years passed, and the day of Princess Aurora's 16th birthday arrived. A great festival was planned at the castle. While everyone was busy with preparations, Aurora, feeling a bit restless, decided to explore parts of the castle she had never seen before. She climbed a winding staircase up to a dusty, forgotten tower. At the very top, in a small, dimly lit room, she found an old woman sitting at a strange contraption, pulling and twisting thread. "Good day, my dear," the old woman croaked, her face hidden in the shadows. Of course, it was Maleficent in disguise. "What are you doing?" Aurora asked, her curiosity piqued, for she had never seen a spinning wheel in her life. "I am spinning, child. Would you like to try?" Maleficent offered with a wicked grin. Eager to try something new, Aurora reached out to touch the spindle. The moment her finger brushed against its sharp point, the curse was fulfilled. She felt a sudden drowsiness, her eyes grew heavy, and she collapsed onto a nearby bed, falling into a profound sleep. Maleficent's triumphant laughter echoed through the tower before she disappeared. At that exact moment, the good fairy who had altered the curse arrived at the castle. She knew what had happened. To spare the king and queen the grief of watching their daughter sleep for a century, she used her magic wand to touch everyone and everything in the castle. The king, the queen, the courtiers, the guards, the cooks, even the dogs and horses. They all fell into a deep slumber right where they were. The fires in the hearths went out, and the music stopped. The fairy then caused a dense, impenetrable forest of thorns and briars to grow all around the castle, hiding it from the outside world and protecting the sleeping princess. 100 years passed. The story of the sleeping princess in the enchanted castle became a legend, told by grandparents to their grandchildren. Many princes and brave knights had tried to hack their way through the magical forest of thorns, but all had failed, their quests ending in the tangled briars. Then one day, a young, handsome prince from a neighboring kingdom was out hunting near the enchanted forest. He heard the old tales from the local villagers about a beautiful princess asleep in a hidden castle. Unlike the others before him, this prince was filled with a sense of destiny and an unshakable determination. He felt drawn to the story, as if he was meant to be the one to break the spell. He rode his horse towards the terrifying wall of thorns. As he approached, something miraculous happened. Because the 100 years of the curse were finally at an end. The moment the prince drew his sword, the massive, thorny branches parted on their own, creating a clear path for him. He walked through the now welcoming forest and entered the silent castle. He wandered through the quiet halls, seeing the sleeping court frozen in time. He saw guards slumped at their posts, ladies in waiting asleep in their chairs, and the king and queen slumbering on their thrones. Finally, he found the tower staircase, climbed to the top, and entered the room where Princess Aurora lay sleeping. She was even more beautiful than the legends described. He knelt beside her, his heart filled with an overwhelming sense of love and wonder. Gently, he leaned down and kissed her. Instantly, Princess Aurora's eyes fluttered open. The spell was broken. As she awoke, so did everyone else in the castle. The king and queen opened their eyes, the courtiers stretched, the cooks returned to their kitchens, and the sounds of life and laughter once again filled the castle walls. Aurora looked at the handsome prince who had saved her, and they fell in love at first sight. The king and queen were overjoyed to have their daughter back and welcomed the prince with open arms. A magnificent wedding was held, and the entire kingdom celebrated their union. Prince Charming and Princess Aurora ruled their kingdom with kindness and wisdom, and they lived happily ever after. Thank you so much for joining me for this classic fairy tale. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another magical adventure. See you next time.